All right, let's talk Seattle Seahawks. This team is in the thick of playoff contention with a great performance last week, heading into a must win. I think we all understand you get a great opportunity against the Jets upcoming. And it looks like head coach Mike McDonald and this entire Seahawks coaching staff is making some massive changes. I think it's a good news for Seattle's playoff chances. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Seahawks are where they are this season, mainly on the back of two things: great defense and Geno Smith being Geno Smith. But it's clear some strategic decisions need to be made. You can't rely on the quarterback to bail you out every time, and you can't rely on your defense, honestly, to be holding teams to 6 points every week. That's just not sustainable, no matter how good you're playing. And it looks like Seattle's making those key strategic decisions, and they're about to starting this weekend. Let's start with the article, and then I know you've got some analytics on the other side. This is courtesy of SI.com. Despite making a more concerted effort to find balance on offense and taking a load off quarterback Geno Smith's shoulders, orchestrating the NFL's most pass-heavy attack, Seattle still hasn't been able to get its ground game back on track, in part due to several lineup changes along the offensive line, which is true. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries, a lot of changes there. Through 12 weeks, after being held to 65 rushing yards and a win over Arizona on Sunday, the team ranks 28th in rushing yards and yards per attempt. That's not good, obviously. It'd be easy for Coach Mike McDonald to dwell on the lack of progress, but after diving into the film following Sunday's win over the Cardinals, he feels like the offense is close to a breakthrough with the run game, as consistency remains the biggest obstacle that is yet to be hurdled. You're looking through it from, hey, how we're going to come up with our plan, how we're implementing it, how we're practicing it, how it's coming to life on the field. There is some good stuff out there, McDonald said. It's just not as much as we want or as consistent as we want it, but there's some good stuff, and some of our guys are really working hard at it. Our coaches, here's the most important part of the whole article right here. Our coaches are devising some really good plans, in my opinion, that we're still going to try and improve on, but we're on the right track. All right, so reading through all this coach speak, because that's what any coach is doing when they're talking to the media, what he's saying, in my opinion, is that we've got the guys, we've got the personnel, and sometimes it's there and the play works. We haven't come up with the right strategy to use them yet, but according to Mike McDonald, I think we're coming up with a plan that will help us down the stretch. And I think this is what Seattle needs, and I think it's exciting for the Seahawks offense going forward. Miles, I know you've got a lot of data and thoughts on this, but first, Seahawks fans in the comment section below, big, I'm going to call it must-win matchup against the New York Jets. Obviously, this is a very winnable game for you guys, but still a tough opponent going to the East Coast for a 1 p.m. game. That's always tough for a West Coast squad. Give us your prediction, final score, Seattle, New York, in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on everything involving the Seattle Seahawks strategy here?
Yeah, Nick, I think there's a lot going on here. It's like you said, there's a lot of coach speak, a lot of stuff coming down. But the key points that Mike McDonald talks about here are one, that they've done some things that are good and they want to do more of the things that they're doing good at. And I think you allude to they have the personnel to do those things. And two, they're also devising some new plans, some new things that are going to help them out tremendously. And I think that is the key here. I think this is a team that's on the brink of having some really special stuff out here. I think this is a team that they're right on the edge. They have the right personnel. They can do some things, but they're just not developing it the right way. And they've had a lot of injuries on the offensive line. First of all, let's look at some graphs that I have just breaking down what they're seeing. This first graph we can see here, it's a pass protection ratings composite. It has 3 different websites, PFF, ESPN, and SIS, all kind of combine their pass block rating scores for each team. You can see Seattle on the right-hand side. Look all the way down at the bottom there, number 28 in the NFL. That's pretty dang bad, but we all know they're down to like their 4th string tackle on one side of the ball. But that's the thing. They're still passing the ball at an absurdly high rate. Geno Smith leading the league in passing attempts. He has like over 500 something passing snaps, 461 dropbacks this season. That's not good when you have one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the NFL. I know we want him to do good, but you have to really help him out a little bit. You can't hang him out to dry. Like you said, have him to do everything on his own. That's where I think the plan comes in. That leads me to my second graphic we're going to bring up here. And this is an early down play calling chart tendencies. And these are the things like, early on in your set of downs, the plays that you generally call. And if you look, the Seahawks are on like the bottom part of the graphic. They're about 5 up from the bottom. And you can see in the middle of a graphic, there's a green number 36. And I'm going to just tell you briefly what that means. That is the number of play action passes that they, or number of passes that they have that are not play action. That's 36% of their passes are not play action. That is the second lowest amount in the league behind the Cincinnati Bengals. And you don't have Joe Burrow, so you can't be the Bengals. This here is, I think, what they're keying in on. I think this is the magic bullet that solves both problems that A, will help out the running game because Kenneth Walker, he's doing really good. He's the third highest graded running back per PFF, but he's just not getting the opportunities he need to. Play action opens up the running game for Kenneth Walker to help them lean on that running game a little more, take the pressure off Geno Smith, but also it's going to help out the offensive line when it comes to pass blocking. When you're running play action passes, it's going to kind of, give them an easier time in these pass blocking situations. So I think this is the magic bullet. This is what they're planning on doing going down the stretch. I would look for this Seahawks team to run a ton more play action going forward because I think this is going to help them out tremendously going forward.
Yeah, so Ryan Grubb, obviously the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator coming from the college ranks, he's made a couple really serious strategic flaws, and you kind of highlighted them with your analytics. So I'm not being overly critical. He obviously knows more about football than I do, being an offensive coordinator for an NFL team. But one of his biggest qualms was that, okay, I've got a good quarterback and great receivers. I can switch between running downhill power football stuff and spread them out and let Jackson Smith and Jigba, Metcalf, and Geno Smith go to work, right? I can go between both those roles just fine. The reality is in the NFL, you can't. If you look at the best offenses in the National Football League, great examples, Detroit Lions, they basically have the same personnel, the same package, the same grouping for everything, whether it's an off-tackle run, whether it's a play-action bootleg hitting the tight end, whether it's a straight drop pack throwing a quick slant, or whether they're taking a shot. 9 times out of 10, it's a similar personnel. They use motions and shifts the way they can try and create an advantage to create some confusion. But overall, it's the same look. It's the same play for the first 2 or 3 steps. It's only what happens after that. Is it a handoff? Is it a play action? Is it a bootleg? Is it step up in the pocket and take a shot? Is it a trick play? For those of you guys who watch the Lions play football a lot, the reality is if you pause 90% of their plays after the first 3 steps, they'd all look the same. The problem with the Seattle Seahawks, and they're not alone, the Bengals are very similar. The Dallas Cowboys are very similar as well in terms of they have completely switched. They like to go power football inside and then spread them out 4 wide, snap to snap. You don't build a rhythm that way. You don't build timing that way. It puts a lot of pressure on your offensive line because you better believe those pass rushers know, okay, we got 4 wides, probably going to be a drop back pass. But if you're under center and, those tight end, running back, 11, 12 personnel kind of groupings, pass rushers, defensive linemen are like, this may be a run, or this may be a straight drop back, or maybe you play action. It inserts a seed of doubt in the opponent. That's the key there. A lot of Seattle's opponents on the defensive side of the ball, there isn't much confusion. There isn't much doubt. Like I said, it's been a lot of Geno Smith being spectacular for the Seattle Seahawks offense. I think this change in strategy that you highlighted here that they're going to make will be huge for them down the stretch, making a run to the postseason.